His Excellency Minister Yavuz Kran. Now I would like to introduce Dr. Ravza KAVAKCI KAN, who is AK Party Istanbul Deputy and also President of Interparliamentarian Unit. She is also honored us today with her speech. Could you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I hope you can hear me as well.
Yes, you look great and we can hear you in a great way. Now I can give you the floor to you. Thank you.
Thank you. It is my honor to be in a platform like this. Thank you so much. I know that Honorable Minister of Security of Bosnia will be joining us, and we just heard from our Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs. And I'm honored to be among distinguished professors and academics and distinguished participants today. This is a special day for Turkey. It is the 97th anniversary of the establishing of Republic of Turkey. So it's a special honor for me to be among such distinguished audience attending the 7th International Symposium on Chaos, Complexity and Leadership. In the next couple of days, you will be hearing from distinguished academics from a variety of areas of work and different disciplines, and expertise. So I'm sure it will be a very, very fruitful symposium for all of the people who are attending, and I hope that the end result will be one that will benefit all humankind and academic world. Of course, like I said, it's an extra honor for me to be among you on this National Day of Celebration. When I was invited to attend this symposium by Professor Erçetin, I started to do some research. I started to do research on chaos theory, complexity theory, and tried to do some reading. And thank you, Dr. Şuay Açıkalın, for the information you sent as well. It's very valuable. I have an engineering background. So I have a bachelor's degree in software engineering. And now, later on, I switched into social sciences and ended up with a PhD in political science. So if I did not learn anything during my PhD studies, I learned not to talk on topics that I'm not expert on. But I will try to reflect on what I learned during this process and what the things that it reminded me of when I was reading about chaos theory, about complexity, about leadership, about the butterfly effect, all these different concepts, some of which I knew already, but some of them I'm familiarizing myself with. So as a student of chaos theory and complexity and leadership theories, I will try to share my insight as a student from a student perspective, and as a social scientist, as a social science student, let me say, I will try to reflect upon what I've read and what I've learned and what it reminds me of. Of course, I have different hats, or maybe I should say different scarves. So I'm at the same time, I'm somebody who is new to the academic world, as well as I'm also a politician. I'm also a member of parliament, and as you mentioned, I'm chairing the Turkish Interparliamentary Union group in the IPU. In social sciences, what we do is we try to study, analyze, categorize human behavior. And we try to predict different behavior patterns. In political science and international relations, we also try to understand state behavior. We have different, in classical theories, there's different concepts about what the nature of human being is. And we try to also build the societal activities, societal behavior based on these perceptions. And different theories, classical theories, neoclassical theories, modern theories have different predictions and different understanding, different definitions. from the perspective of chaos complexity theory, what happens in one, from what I gather, what happens in one part of the world may have tremendous effects. What happens within one government or within one society, a small flame starting up somewhere, something unexpected may change into something different all over the world. So there's a lot of options, there's a lot of possibilities, and there's maybe academically this is a challenge for the academic to understand and to interpret what is going on somewhere in the world with respect to a specific issue. A minor incident in one part of the world may end up yielding global effects. So it's a very, very exciting area for me as well. And I'm looking forward to the best of my ability, listening to distinguished academics who have work in this area. Of course, dealing with unexpected, unknown, and trying to produce academic results out of this this is a challenge, as I mentioned. We are going through an interesting time. We were facing challenges, global challenges, as different states in the world, such as economic challenges, and social challenges, hunger, poverty, environmental challenges that we're facing. Among all this, we were faced with a pandemic, something unknown, something unexpected. And how do you behave when you have situations like this? I think this is one of the very important questions that hopefully there will be, and we will be together finding or searching an answer to during this symposium. COVID crisis made us realize that we're very, very globally interconnected and interdependent. And so if we were to look at it from different levels, we could see that as an individual level, we learned that we are all equal. We're all equally vulnerable when we're faced with this virus. Tiny virus that we're not able to see unless we have a special microscope. And this tiny virus has ruined all our plans. We may have personal plans. We may have had big goals as states or different aspirations. And all our plans were ruined after this COVID pandemic. So as an individual, we realized at the individual level how vulnerable we are, as well as how we're all the same. No matter who you are, you could be the most powerful person politically or economically in the world, but you're faced with the same risk. Or you could be a person who is the poorest person and has very low economic income, but you still face the same thing. So it reminded us as humankind how equal we are. On a national level, societal level, it's a reminder that from the Turkish perspective, I will try to give an insight. It reminded us that we need to support each other. So what we saw in Turkey when we saw this incident of this pandemic, we realized that we're quick at getting organized. We realized that in other countries, there is a need for ventilators, and in Turkey, we don't produce ventilators. So we started producing our own ventilators. So at the societal level, ventilators is just one example. There came out a perfect, I will say, a very good example of private and public partnership in producing something that was necessary for this pandemic to be dealt with. Also, in another level, for instance, a very good example that Turkey has is we have something called Vefa Destek Grubu. we can say loyalty support group. So the state institutions, different state institutions, different ministries came together with civil society, and they made sure that everybody, especially our elderly, who's very valuable for us, they are the experience and memory and the history of our nation. So all of these different people who needed extra help were given help through the Fidelity Social Loyalty Support Groups. So this is an example that doesn't exist anywhere else. It's also a humanitarian example. In the international level, what was necessary? There was a need for support internationally as well, because we realized during this pandemic, in addition to knowing that at the human level, at the individual level, we're very vulnerable, we're all facing the exact same risk, we also realized that we're globally interconnected. We're not well, we're not safe unless the whole world is safe. So no matter where another human being is, they could be at a different part of the world, in a nation, living in a nation maybe we can't even find on a map at the first instant. We realized that we have to help each other. So Turkey, again, is a good example, and our deputy minister talked about this as well, is a good example in trying to help out other nations, other human beings as well. So Turkey was one of the nations that sent help out, humanitarian help out to 153 nations all over the world. That's another good example. So at the human level, we realized when we were faced with something unexpected, like the COVID pandemic, we need to improvise. We need to help each other out. We realize that we're all faced with the same mistake, and globally we're interconnected and interdependent. So I think after the pandemic, in the academic world as well, it will give us an opportunity to look into new areas of making sure that we can work together at the humanitarian level, at academic level, at all levels that are possible, in order to make sure that as humankind we can move forward. Another example, when I was reading about chaos theory and complexity, different organizations, the issue of unpredictability. We faced in Turkey in 2016 a horrible coup attempt. So when we look at classical theories or classical understandings in social sciences, whether it is anthropology or psychology, sociology, or my area, political science, we look at things rationally. There's an understanding of concept of democracy. There's an understanding of fighting for democracy, and these international values of human rights. On July 15th, 2016, you know that Turkey faced a coup attempt. And right after the coup attempt, it was something unexpected. It was something that wasn't even dreamt of or talked about. So after this, Turkish nation came together, of course, with the leadership of President Erdogan, and they did something. The people of Turkey, with the support and prayers of our good brothers and sisters all over the world, did something that wasn't rational. With the invitation of President Erdogan, which is a very rational invitation, people took out to the streets. They trusted him. He had good leadership, charismatic leadership, very good leadership under extraordinary leadership, under this extraordinary circumstances. And immediately with his invitation, people took to the streets. 251 people lost their lives that night. And 2,193 people were wounded. People did something, like I said, that wasn't rational. As human beings, when you're faced with danger, it's instincts that kick in, and it's your reflexes. If somebody tries to hit you, you move back. If somebody tries to shoot at you, you will, it's human nature, you will try to save yourself. But on that day, people did not stop. They went and they stood against the tanks and those who were using their guns against them with no fear. And they did something that wasn't, like I said, rational, and it wasn't instinctive, but they stood up for human rights with their bare hands. So I think this is something very important and very related to the topic of this symposium as well. So people of Turkey on that day stood up for democracy. Actually, they kind of redefined fighting for democracy, the concept of fighting for democracy. And they did something that wasn't expected and that has no other examples of. And this happened very quickly in a time frame of a couple of hours. And the next day, as right now you're my guest in my office in the Grand National Assembly of Turkey, and this parliament was in session a couple of hours after the attacks began, and it was in session with the presence of all parties, giving out a declaration that stood for Turkish democracy. So I think this is something extraordinary. So when we're looking at chaos theory, when we're looking at complexity theories, and when we're looking at leadership, this is one of the good examples maybe in the future more academics can look into. And I think it will be a very, very valuable thing to talk about. So I will try to summarize. I wasn't speaking as an academic or a politician, but I was speaking a little bit maybe unacademically from the heart as well. But I think the different incidents that we're facing as humankind will make us learn from each other. And I hope that the 7th International Symposium on Chaos, Complexity and Leadership will be one that's very fruitful and will bring benefits, not just to the world of academia, but to humankind in general. I would like to give my gratitudes to all the organizers, to International Science Association and all the partnering universities. And our prayers and thoughts are with our friends all over the world. And I hope and pray that after this pandemic, we will learn our lesson as humankind and learn to take care of each other and stop the fighting and realize, hopefully it will make us all realize at individual level and at national level and international level that if we do not take care of each other, we may be faced with other more dangerous and more difficult experiences or challenges. I would also finally, again, like to thank you for the invitation and my deepest respects and greetings